Good evening and welcome to Conscious Conversations. My guest tonight is Bobbie Ascarate, who is known to some of you in the Unity community. I know her as my spiritual director. She's been my spiritual director for almost 5 years now, and it's been a wonderful experience. However, she's other people's spiritual directors as well as me. And she does a lot of groups and retreats and one-on-one meetings, particularly focusing on embodied practices. Her passion is work like dream tending and conscious movement. And the topic we're going to talk about tonight, which is called bio-spiritual focusing. This is a very meaningful practice that we're going to actually get a taste of. So it's not complicated. However, it's like a lot of things. It's simple, but not easy. And we can go into a lot of depth about it. So when I thought about bio-spiritual focusing, my poem for tonight, the poem I chose, is by the great poet of the body, the celebration of the body, Walt Whitman. His poem is from Leaves of Grass, which of course is his great masterpiece. I sing the body electric. The armies of those I love engirth me, and I engirth them. They will not let me off till I go with them, respond to them, and discorrupt them, and charge them full with the charge of the soul. Was it doubted that those who corrupt their own bodies conceal themselves? And if those who defile the living are as bad as they who defile the dead? And if the body does not do fully as much as the soul, and if the body were not the soul, what is the soul? And of course it goes on, but sometime read Leaves of Grass. It's a wonderful celebration of the body in a time when many people thought of the body as an occasion of sin. But Walt Whitman knows that our soul and our body are one. So let's have a short prayer before we have our time with Bobbie Ascarate. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for this time for us to recognize and cherish our body. In their connection to the universe, our bodies are our direct link to the spirit that fills the universe. We all have a body, and we can all experience God in the authentic reality beyond thoughts. We recognize the body as a source of profound wisdom that can lead to life-giving, healing, and growth. And so it is. Amen. And now let's talk with Bobbie Ascarate. My guest is Bobbie Ascarate, and she has been my personal spiritual director for almost 6 years, which, wow, 6 years, a long time. Now, we're not going to talk about that tonight. We're not going to talk about our spiritual direction, but I'm happy to talk privately with you about spiritual direction. She is a certified spiritual director, and but tonight we're going to talk about bio-spiritual focusing, which is her training and her passion from what I can observe. And she has received a great deal of training and has spent a lot of time learning and experiencing this very valuable tool, which we've used in our spiritual direction. And as she's pointed out to me, even though we talk about embodiment and We know the concept. It's not a concept, it's an experience. So that's part of why I wanted to have her as my guest tonight. Welcome, Bobbie. Thank you for being with us. And I guess the first thing I want to say is, you know, I was raised in a religious tradition that told me that the body was a source of sin. And in fact, the body needed to be tamed in a way, stifled in a way, because it was a source, it was maybe even the source of sin. Can you make any comments about that? About, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure it started when everything else started, but the idea of bio-spiritual focusing doesn't seem like it would fit together with that idea.
Thank you, Mary Jean, for inviting me to be here. It's I've been looking forward to this because it's very easy to talk with you. So thank you. And the comment you make about the body, oh my goodness, how true. I was brought up on the East Coast in Massachusetts and Catholic, baptized and confirmed and so forth. And my memory of that time is one of, thankfully, somehow I tapped into the mystical side of the church. You know, it was the days when the Mass was in Latin and, you know, the priest had his back to the congregation. And yet somehow, thinking back on it, the light coming in through the stained glass windows, the incense, the music, it was a beautiful church. I mean, somehow my young self tapped into that mystical. But in catechism, with the sisters with the long, you know, black habits and so forth.
Yeah.
Although I never had a bad experience, the overall theme was more the God in the sky, taking notes, making judgment. Sin was prevalent. We were born with it. So I had this dichotomy of, some part of me knew there was more, couldn't have articulated it, but certainly there was a sense of, wow, there's danger here, you know, so it wasn't the loving God that I've come to know over the years. So yes, I totally connect with what you're saying. So it is quite a change in course that we may have to encounter to know that the body is a source of love and wisdom and healing and just this great gift to be embodied.
So does God, I mean, the book that I remember you referred me to, I don't remember the title, it might have been something about bio-spiritual focusing, but the subhead was Rediscovering the Lost Tradition. And I thought, it was really lost, was my thought, because I don't remember anything like that. And it is a very difficult thing to kind of get your mind around, that God can the divine speaks to us at times through our body, that our body is communicating with us and we can experience God that way.
Yes.
That is a very foreign concept to even the scenario you're describing of going to catechism and learning all these rules. It's a very different thing. And would you say that it was there at one time and then it went away, or?
You know, I don't know. I think for each individual person, they might have had a different experience based on their, you know, family, their faith tradition, their whatever. I think the people that I accompany, it runs the gamut of how comfortable they are even entertaining the idea that the body would be a source of wisdom and healing. And
right. Even that's a big shift, right? Of saying, you know, I learned this, but now I'm realizing, and you know, we talk a lot about being embodied in spirituality. to avoid the syndrome of I'm spiritual here up.
Yeah.
And can you say more about being embodied? What is it that you feel about that?
You know, I think for a long time I was, you know, I heard someone say when asked to describe their body, that's what carries my head around. And and so, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, makes sense. So, you know, for me, I look back at my particular journey and the things that have really called to me and have deepened my faith and my relationship with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dreams, which come from the subconscious into our consciousness. So that's down deep in our psyche and our soul. So that's a pathway for me.
And that's one of your other passions is dream tending and dream work. And yeah, I forgot about that when I was talking initially. So yes.
Yeah, that's a real important one. It started in childhood and I'm really grateful for it. And in the dream groups that I facilitate, I mean, it's amazing what comes forth in dreams. And what I've learned is the different practices blend. And so for instance, in dream tending with a group, when someone brings up something from a dream and it's tended, not analyzed, but tended, focusing blends with that because we can draw our attention in a bodily way to what are the images and messages from dreams. And then, and then another pathway for me, which came later in life in 1998 to be specific, I was introduced to conscious movement, which at first was like, whoa, that's intimidating, that to dance, free form, you know, just kind of, whoa, I don't know about this, but I was hooked. And I took a deep dive into that practice. And so that is truly a way of being embodied, not, it's not dance like performance kind of dance. It's free form and people don't speak. It's just the facilitators guides and there's music and it's just free form dance and individual and with others. And so that has been an extraordinary path on my healing and in connection with the divine. There's a book that I refer to often by Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps the Score. Yes. And oh my goodness, does it. And so in different yoga, dance, other kinds of bodily ways, we can get in touch with and let that move through us. Mm-hmm. So.
And in bio-spiritual focusing, since that's going to be our, you know, focus for tonight, I guess, the idea is that the body has something to tell us, that the body has knowledge, which you just referred to the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Mm-hmm. So rather than thinking that the body is just something that carries our head around or our earth suit or whatever, it's actually a medium that can tell us things and show us things and have us experience the divine and really experience our deepest awareness, not just the superficial head stuff, but the deeper stuff. And even in my own experience working with you, and you know, I wouldn't say we've done extensive bio-spiritual focusing, but some, and I just know that I almost liken it to something that's sunk way down deep, and then all of a sudden it just comes to the surface, and you're like, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know. And it's sometimes it's stuff from the past that you have squelched down, and other times it's just maybe something that's been in your outer awareness, and you kind of, I don't know, for whatever reason, you've not looked at it or you've shoved it away or whatever. And bio-spiritual focusing has you sit, has you, you know, take time and pay attention to what wants to come up.
Yeah.
And why is it that that's so scary?
Well, I think it is until we've practiced it enough where we know the outcome is one of resolution, so to speak, or that it benefits us, and we're actually, if it, I think it would be best if we did an example, do a little meditation where we actually do that in a few moments.
Yes.
But it can be scary, but the more one does this as a practice, the more they realize that it is, wow, there really is something inside of me that wants to be known, and I can tend to that. And then there comes what's called in the focusing term, a shift that can be a kind of a release or a insight, whatever. So
yeah, in my experience, it's like, at first, when you're not used to sitting with your feelings, or your initial reaction is to push them away. Whatever comes up, you just want to push it away.
Yes.
But when you get into this more and you get into this work more, that's the first place you turn. Instead of turning away, that's the first place you go to, because that feels so authentic. Whereas, analyzing and, people sometimes make a T account, the pluses and the minuses. Okay, maybe that has its place, or even journaling, but there's something really authentic about this. And I think, as you're saying, this is just a taste, this is just an introduction. Mm-hmm. But the other thing to point out, I think, is this is not difficult. This is not like, you've got to have a PhD in this in order to benefit from there are many benefits.
Yeah. Would it be helpful if I just gave a real quick background of how this came to be?
I think it would be very helpful, yes.
Okay. So just definitely less even than the Reader's Digest version. Back in the 60s, this fellow, a philosopher and psychologist named Dr. Gene Genlin, who's a student and colleague of Carl Rogers, and he was intrigued why some therapy patients benefited from therapy and others not so much. So there was a whole study done that looked into, they recorded conversations and so forth, and what they pinpointed, the people that were in therapy that seemed to have good resolution, it wasn't the therapist, it was the individual people was the common theme. And when they noted what the common denominator was, is that some people, when they were in therapy, something would come to them and they would be quiet, they'd slow down, they might put their hand somewhere on their body. It's like they were searching for the words. It was kind of vague. And what they were doing was going within. It wasn't anything the therapist was doing. It was just something they intuitively knew, maybe, and didn't know here, but just did. And so the upshot of all of that study and research and so forth was that Gene Genlin started a practice or a movement around what he called focusing. And this is the little book that he wrote called Focusing back in 1978. And it's very user-friendly. He meant it for the lay people. So secular, and a lot of therapists, are certified in focusing. And I'm not certified in focusing, but I've done quite a bit of training with the International Focusing Institute. So there's that body of work, which is international, many different teachers, many different paths, which Gene Genlin encouraged. He's a gracious, brilliant man. So then comes biospiritual focusing. And that was developed by two Jesuit priests, Ed McMahon and Peter Campbell. Ed's passed on, Pete is still with us. What they were here in Northern California, and they were very much interested in the body. and this sense of embodied spirituality. So they were doing their own PhD work when they heard about Gene Gemlin's work. They visited with him, collaboration, and they started the movement of biospiritual focusing. So hence the book that you were talking about.
Yes.
This one, Rediscovering the Lost Body Connection Within Christian Spirituality. So I've done training with that group and part of the team here locally in Orange County that has put on workshops and various things. So that's the history. I have just a real brief quote from Reverend Campbell from an article he wrote some time ago. And he says, agape love is the motor that drives biospiritual focusing. It connects us to ourselves, to others, to our world, and to the mystery in which we are all involved. For we are bodily, lovingly immersed in all of these in ways that the mind alone can only struggle to apprehend. So really brief, but that's kind of the history and where we are now.
Okay.
So just to get a little bit before we do a meditation, there's a process called the biospiritual focusing flow. And it's meant to be a flow. And so first comes noticing. So where we just notice, and we'll actually do this in a moment. So noticing, we kind of clear a space, we get quiet, we sense what's wanting attention. And then we use a term called the felt sense, which is not a mental experience, but a physical one. It's a bodily awareness. So we get in touch with the felt sense. We say hello to that. We extend a compassionate presence. We wait and allow. And then we move into nurturing, receiving, whatever shows up in a welcoming way, and savoring that. And then what usually happens is there's a bit of a felt shift where we get in touch with it, we can feel it, we welcome it, we nurture, and all of a sudden it's like taking a breath and there's some expansion. Continuing that process, if we were in a longer time frame or companioning relationship, we could go more deeper into that. But for now, just to get in touch with what that might feel like, I think is, maybe just what this time might be best.
Okay.
Is that
Right.
feel okay?
I think, again, that illustrates what I'm saying about this isn't, rocket science. It's something that you can, and obviously having a facilitator like you, I get that that's an important aspect of this flow. In other words, you probably could do it by yourself, but the facilitator is sort of your guide, your facilitator. I mean, somebody help you.
There's a term both in all the practices, but in biospiritual focusing called companioning.
Yes, companioning. Yeah.
Right. And so I have someone that I talk by phone twice a month with. At one point, they companion me, kind of just walk alongside and say very little, but maybe repeat back something I say. And then I companion that person. So once you learn the process, you can do it by yourself, but with journaling and with another person. So it's meant to be a practice that's easy and accessible.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. So no pressure, but just leave.
Okay. Well, I'm going to suggest that people, that might be listening, if they have a pen and paper close by, at the end of the meditation, after there's been, going deep within, and I'm sure most people are familiar with that dropping in. But so at the end of that, there'll be time to make some notes.
Okay.
At the end of the meditation.
At the end. Okay.
Yeah. So if it feels okay, and I welcome everyone to close their eyes or lower their gaze. So we take a few moments to pause, to arrive more fully in this space, in this now moment, in this body. I invite you to put your feet on the floor so that your legs are uncrossed and your feet are fully making contact with the floor. Maybe pressing down through your heel, pressing through the balls of the feet. Bringing your full attention to the sensation of your feet making contact with the floor. Your connection to earth. Rooted, grounded, safe. Let your body settle into the support of the furniture that you are sitting on. You might want to lean back, letting your spine feel the container of being held. Relaxing more deeply into this moment. Now becoming aware of your breath. Letting the inhale and exhale be slower. Savoring each life-giving breath. Allowing your awareness to move from your head down, down, down into your body. Like water gently seeping into the earth. Notice how your breath moves within your body. You might feel it as it flows in and out of your nose. You might feel it in the movement of your chest or the rising and falling of your abdomen. Just at ease, noticing. Now let your breath be your guide, as you slowly scan through your body, starting at your feet. Gradually moving up through your legs, aware of your torso, chest area, arms and hands. Noticing how your neck supports your head. Aware of your shoulders. Are they tense, relaxed, or something else? Now let your attention settle in the middle of your body. You might tenderly ask yourself the question, what am I feeling inside right now? Becoming aware of anything you might be carrying with you in this moment. Any emotions of sadness, joy, anxiety, fear, excitement, grief, delight, or something else. How about any bodily sensations? Like tightness, jumpy, tense, warmth, coolness, relaxed, tired, calm, or something else. See if you can notice where in your body you might be feeling a particular sensation. Noticing what is most wanting your attention. There may be words or an image that arises. Take your time. Maybe you can be with this felt sense in a curious and non-judgmental way, welcoming it rather than trying to fix it or push it away. Allowing yourself to just be with and accept whatever is there. If it feels right, you could bring your hand to the place in your body that has drawn your attention. Letting it know you have heard and care about this place within you. Just tending to this part of you that has made itself known in a compassionate way. Take some time to rest in this place of compassion. Now take a moment to reflect on what most wants to be remembered from this inner exploration. When you are ready, gently open your eyes and capture on paper a few notes what most wants to be remembered.
So thank you, Bobbie. We've all had a few minutes to write down some thoughts. And for me, since I'm sort of the resident guinea pig here, it's hard to put this into words. It's difficult. And yet, I thought that I wouldn't be able to do that until that very last part about what is wanting to be revealed, or what wants to, I don't know what part you call that, whether that's the awareness part or the verbalizing part or something, but I was able to write down some really good, something I can actually take away. What started out as this kind of vague, it was vague sort of feeling, but it really came together in something. What do you call that part? That part that you had a name for it.
What I just asked, what is most wanting to be remembered?
Yeah.
So we look within, and it slowly, with some time and tenderness, it's like Parker Palmer speaks about the shy deer, that yes. It's in the background. It's like our soul is like that. It's shy. And until we say, let there be safe space for what needs to be revealed, it kind of stays in the background. And so when we create that safe, welcoming space and to listen to and be with without judgment, or to try to rush to find a story that it fits with, it makes itself known. And then what I would suggest people do, if they choose, is to do some journaling around that.
Yeah.
And see what else, what more might be revealed.
But I think you just said it very well, that it's that welcoming part of it, that I'm not going to close the book. I'm not going to tell a story about this. I'm just going to let you speak to me, be with me. I think that says a lot right there, that why you're then able to go beyond what seems like a bunch of unrelated, unexplainable feelings, and then you're able to kind of, but the space of it is what's important. And it's, I guess another thing I'd want to add is that it's, for me, it was different than meditation, where at least, I mean, there are obviously a lot of kinds of meditation, but in centering prayer, where it's more of a letting go, this is really more of an inviting in thing. So yeah, there's a lot to this, and I think you've given us a really good taste, a really good explanation. I hope people that are watching, listening, can maybe send me emails and say, wow, that was good, or I'd really like to know more, because you do classes on biospiritual focusing, or is that correct, call it classes, or is it more like retreats, or
both? It's workshops and retreats, and yeah. And another resource I'd like to share, who I just so respect this person, is Tara Brach, a Buddhist teacher. And her latest book is called Radical Compassion.
Okay.
And her, which is a parallel practice to focusing, she calls it RAIN. And it's RAIN. RAIN, R-A-I-N. So really? R, okay. Recognize.
Okay.
A, allow. I, investigate. N, nurture. And I really respect her and her work, and so she's another great resource. And her book, as I said, Radical Compassion, is.
Yeah. Well, you've been a great resource for us, Bobbie, and I so appreciate all of your work and your, devotion to this practice, to following your passions. We know that sounds good, but there are times when it can be quite challenging, right? To say.
Yep, indeed.
Hardly anyone does. My passion is accounting, although maybe it is for some people. I don't know. But for you, it's dream work, spiritual direction, biospiritual focusing, and then this conscious movement, which is another whole thing that we could explore more. So thank you for being with us tonight, and we will be talking more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary Jean. Blessings.
Thank you, Bobbie. Thank you especially for that experiential exercise, not just talking about something, but actually going within and experiencing something. I hope if you've had an experience during this time of biospiritual focusing, that you send me a note, send me an email, and let me know how it affected you. And now we've come to the time of our tithes and our love offerings. As I've said many times, we are totally supported by your donations. And we know that we are giving and receiving in part of this unending, eternal flow. And that is such a blessing to each of us. It is part of being in this flow that completes us in our spiritual awakening. So let's just say our divine offering blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I want to thank all of you for being with me tonight. Before we close with the prayer for protection, that powerful affirmation that we close everything with, so that we walk away with that strength and power of that affirmation. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you. And next week, I think Shara will be with us on Conscious Conversations. Could be Blair. I'll have to look at the schedule, but one of those two will be with us next week on Conscious Conversations. Thank you.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning, here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Is here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in into the deepest kind of love, into the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.